What's going on, y'all? I'm Czar, and in this video we're taking a look at a brand new plugin from Sonible called Pure Limit. This is meant to be maybe per se the little brother to Smart Limit, and this is going to give you easy to use limiting and leveling in a very easy to use interface. As you can see, we have very little controls and really a stripped down UI here. This is meant for applications, in my opinion, where you don't want to deep dive into setting a limiter with your threshold, attack, release ratio, and all of that. And I've got three examples here that I'm going to show you that I feel that I would use this for, as far as just some applications where I just want to get some quick limiting and leveling going on, where I don't want to go through setting up a limiter with all the features on it. All right, so let's go over the controls, and then of course I'll let you hear what it sounds like. So again, very easy to use interface that we have here. Just like most of Sonible plugins, we've got this green button that's going to be your learn, and then here is going to be the drop down for all of your genres. Below that, so let's go ahead and have this learn, and then we'll get the rest of the features up here and we can really see them. So I've got a vocal and guitar here recorded from Larissa J, and on this vocal I've got the Sonible Smart EQ, I've got the Sonible Smart Compressor, and then we also have the Sonible Smart Reverb, and then on the mix bus we've got Pure Limit here. So I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to hit this green button so it can start to learn and analyze audio, and then we'll go through the rest of the settings here.
We lost touch.
Oh, and since this is acoustic, we're going to switch this to acoustic.
We lost touch with each other. Fall came and I had to move.
Okay, so we now see we have a style here, which we've got between neutral, hard, and soft. So soft will be like soft limiting, neutral will give you the best balance in between soft and hard, and then hard will be a more aggressive limiting. We'll just leave this at neutral for now. The gain here, we can adjust this gain from this area, or we can grab up here and adjust it from there as well. And then we have inflate here on the bottom right. So inflate is going to be, it's going to boost the levels, especially the low end and bass, as well as add some saturation and really give it a more perceived loudness without increasing the peak level. And then below here we just have a bypass. What I really like about this is when you bypass it, everything is grayed out and you know this is bypass. There shouldn't be any accidentally thinking it's on when it's in bypass. Like, you know this is in bypass. All right, and once I play this again, just pay attention to this bottom right section, because here's where you're going to see the metering. If it's when you see some red, that's going to be gain reduction, and you'll also see the waveform going in the middle of the UI here, and when you see red at the top there, that's where gain reduction is taking place as well. All right, so let's play this a little bit and just look at how the UI is functioning.
We lost touch with each other. Fall came and I had to move. Moving backward.
All right, and that's actually doing a lot there. I'm going to just bring this gain down to maybe 4 here. Oh, in the settings here, you can set the limiter threshold here. As by default, it's set to -1, which is a pretty good starting spot for a limiter on your mix bus.
We lost touch with each other.
Actually, I'm going to skip this ahead to one of the loud parts in the song here.
If I cry just a little and then laugh in the middle, if I hate you, then I love you, and then I change my mind. I need just a little more time to deal with the fact that you should have treated me right. I'm more than just a little justified. I'm more than just a little justified.
All right, so you can hear there that inflate is adding some weight there to the bottom end. You can really feel that on the low end with this. But this example, this is just acoustic guitar, vocal. This is the application I would use Pure Limit on, just because I wouldn't feel like setting up a limiter for this when I can do this very quickly and easily. Let's move on to another example. So for this example, we'll be using Pure Limit for podcast editing and using this as a final limiter on the podcast. This is a session from my podcast, the Faders Up podcast. This is from our season 3 finale episode, which recently came out. But normally I use Smart Limit on the mix bus here, but we'll switch that out here for Pure Limit. And I'm going to play this, and of course we'll switch this to speech, and then see what Pure Limit will do as far as limiting and getting these levels ready for release.
What was that hard disk recorder that everybody was using for a while that was in all the studios? Sorry, you would know it. It had a built-in CD burner too, but it recorded to a hard drive.
Was it a Tascam?
Nah, not a Tascam.
Elise's?
The Elise's Masterlink. Right.
Okay, yeah.
So I've done that before.
Yeah, I don't think I was born yet.
Damn. Oh, shade. Yeah, right.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was. It's not that old, but anyway.
All right, so there's an example of Pure Limit on podcast editing. The inflate there, not as noticeable on the podcast here versus on music. But quick shameless plug, if you haven't checked out my podcast, I've got a link in the description of this video. We talk about what I describe as pro audio and beyond. But definitely going to start using Pure Limit for finishing the podcast over Smart Limit, just because it's going to be easier for me to use. But Smart Limit I think I'll do a video comparing Smart Limit to Pure Limit, because Smart Limit does have some very useful features as well as for podcast editing that I can certainly get into in comparing those two. But for now, well, I'm taking a break with the podcast until 2023. But when we come back, though, I'm going to start using Pure Limit and just see how that works in my workflow as far as editing the podcast. All right, one more example here. All right, so last example is for you music producers. If you make beats, using Pure Limit on your mix bus will be a quick and easy way to add some limiting and get your levels without causing any overs. So I've got a track here I created in Studio One. I've got Pure Limit on the mix bus. Going to hit play and let Pure Limit do its thing. And we'll leave this at universal. That inflate turned up high, you can really start to hear the distortion in the low end there. But there's an example of Pure Limit on, if you're making beats. There's definitely too much gain reduction I was seeing there, so just back down the gain. Because this is AI driven and it sets a level, you don't have to keep it at that. Just keep that in mind. It's just a suggested starting point. You can definitely tweak it, move around, and do what you need to do with it. And also, like in the UI here, we don't have a bunch of numbers thrown at us, like the gain reduction and threshold and all of that. We've got, our input gain here that we see, but besides that, there's really no numbers on here that we would normally see on a limiter. And I like that because it keeps you away from trying to mix with numbers and hit a certain specific number for your gain reduction or threshold and all that. So doing this, you're really doing it by ear as well as what you're hearing. So I like that about it. But there's a look at the new plugin from Sonible called Pure Limit. Definitely a fan of this, especially coming after Smart Limit, which does a lot but may do too much for some people. You've got a really simplified version here in Pure Limit, especially for applications where, like I said, you don't want to go through setting a limiter and all the features and functions on it. So intro price right now for Pure Limit is $35, which I think is a fair price for what this is. I would like to see them do a bundle with Smart Limit and Pure Limit. Maybe that's coming soon, but that'd be nice to get both of those together in a bundle to really handle all of your limiting and leveling needs. But definitely comment and let me know what you think about Pure Limit. I'll have a link in the description if you want to check this out, learn more about it, or pick it up. And if you enjoyed this video, I appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to see content from me, then you know what to do. All right, I'll catch y'all next time.